This interview is brought to you by Verizon. When the Navy and Marine Corps look to securely, effectively modernize their network and voice communications in the continental United States or outside the contiguous United States, Verizon's suite of services, solutions, and contract vehicles are there to help meet mission needs.
Hi, I'm Jordan McDonald, staff writer with GovCIO Media and Research. And today, I'm joined by Mark Gorak, Principal Director for Resources and Analysis at the DoD, and Director of the Cyber Academic Engagement Office. Mark, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate having me.
Mark, we're in the midst of a new administration, the new year as well. So you just sort of run us through maybe how the administration shift, the new year has shifted, and how that's changing the cyber workforce goals at all?
So my first thought on that is not much. The new administration, the old administration, I think both are very supportive of cyber, both supportive of defense. So when I created my teams, I created a culture that we had to be adaptable, flexible, and responsive. So we have an innovation culture of change. So we love change. Easy to say, very difficult to implement. But our focus is on supporting the warfighter and our cyber workforce. So I think the new administration will be right in line with that. And the other part of that I think is key is data. So I'm a data scientist. We spend a lot of time enhancing and making our data better and our visualizations better so we can have that data support to make these decisions that we're trying to make to help our workforce.
It's been about a year and a half since the, launch of the cyber workforce strategy. How has that progressed, and how much more do we still need to do?
So we had 38 initiatives. Last year we prioritized 10 initiatives. I'm happy to report we achieved 9. That's still an A, my daughter tells me, in class. So we achieved 9. We didn't finish 9. We achieved the goals we set out for the first year of those 9. So we're still continuing those. But of those, what I chose to measure is how do those initiatives directly impact the identification of the workforce, recruiting, retention, and development of the workforce. So some facts out of last year's initiatives, we reduced time to hire from over 150 days to 79 days. So that's a huge accomplishment, by the way. Very difficult to do. Lots of factors involved in producing that reduction. But that beats OPM's time to hire and OPM goal of 80 days. So we actually beat that within the cyber workforce. So very proud of that fact. The second one is we've reduced our vacancy rate. It was over 20%. At the end of last year, we're about 15.8%. That is a huge accomplishment when we're talking about a shortage of 30,000 across the department. So we've hired a lot more than we've lost. By the way, we lose about 10,000 cyber professionals a year. I don't view that as a loss. I view that as providing cyber professional talent to the nation. So to put that in scale for you, we turn over more cyber professionals than the Department of Homeland Security has for cyber professionals. So I look at that as working with the nation to support the nation's cyber workforce shortage.
Mm-hmm. And, over that past year and a half, technology, government, it's all moving at an incredible speed. How do you keep the strategy, relevant, growing, evolving, relative to the speed of innovation?
So speed is critical for us. Technology is changing, and for us, the enemy has a vote. So every time the enemy develops a new technology, a new inject, a new way of doing business, we have to incorporate that. We keep up with that by every 90 days. Every 3 months, I held a 4-star level panel where we make decisions to change the way we do business. And when I say change the way we do business, it includes, we have now 73 different work roles. Those work roles define the knowledge, skills, abilities, and tasks of what an operator is actually doing. It's agnostic if you're a military or civilian or a contractor, you have the same requirements. So we're updating those requirements every 90 days. That change then produces a downhill effect that curriculums have to change, training has to change, education has to change, academia has to change every time I make a change. Mm-hmm. So I realize that downhill effect does not keep up with me every 90 days. I have consciously decided that supporting the workfighter and their changes is more important. The rest of them have to catch up.
Mm-hmm. And so, I want to circle back about what you said with the time to hire and how you're beating OPM's average. Why is that important? How is getting this number down for the time that it takes to hire someone critical to advancing the cyber workforce strategy as a whole?
So I think it's one of the key elements. The average industry time to hire is about 24 and a half days. I believe we can get down to 25 days. But we have to fundamentally relook the way we do hiring. Mm-hmm. So the way we were able to achieve 79 days is we had to go out to all of our HR and culturally change the way they think. And say, no, you have these authorities today, let's use them to do direct hire. I want to re-energize that entire system, re-engineer it, where I go to a skills-based hiring mentality, where no longer am I focused just on individuals' credentials, including their education or their experience or their certifications. I want to know if you can do the job. So when I say skills-based assessment, I'm talking about putting you into a cyber range, 3 to 4 hour range, having you work through scenarios, and then measuring your success and failure rate, because you will fail. It's designed to fail, and seeing how you recover from that failure, by the way, mm-hmm. and then determining your level of qualification to be able to do the job day one. I know not everybody will be ready to do the job day one, but it will show me the aptitude they have and where they currently are. That, to me, is how we break this time to hire code. And then we hire the best talent, qualified talent from the get-go with minimal training. So that, to me, is where we have to go. That's my number one priority for FY25, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see how that develops. We've been talking a lot about recruitment. How do we, transition from speeding up the speed of recruitment, making sure that we're hiring quality talent, to then retaining that talent? I know that you've said you're comfortable with having 10,000 going back out into the workforce, whether it's industry or another government agency. But within the DoD, how are you working to retain the high-quality cyber talent that you're working to hire in the first place?
Right. So we put a lot of initiatives into retention. And I think for the DoD, our number one metric for retention is mission. If you have good leaders and you have a good mission, pay does not nearly matter as much as being, a service to the nation and what you're doing to defend the nation. So that's our number one edge, right? Our marketing edge against other competitors. And when I look at the metrics, our cyber retention rates are much higher than our average for retention for the civilian workforce. That's also partly because we put in huge initiatives and a push for incentives. So I manage an incentive called the Targeted Local Market Supplement. We have just doubled that this year. So we're giving more pay to more people who specialize in cyber talent. In addition, we have incentives called the 3 Rs. It's recruiting, retention, and relocation bonuses. And when I took over this job 2 years ago, more than 2 years ago, we were using less, for our cyber workforce, less than 0.1% of our workforce got one of these incentives. Today, it's over 4%. That's a 400% increase, by the way. I know it's still small numbers, right? But at least the message is getting out there. Our initiatives are getting out there. The cyber workforce will cost more money. Another side of that is, in our qualification standards, I don't want to retain everyone. So when you think about retention, I want to retain the best. I want to retain the smartest and the most qualified. So as we implement our qualification standards, now I'll really see our retention, and we can then measure who we're retaining and what level of qualification they are. And that's the key. So incentives, getting the word out, and qualification are key to retention. And mission.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, Mark, excited to see how it goes in the next year or two. And thank you so much for joining us yet again.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.